Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Podcast for Your Life.
I'm Jam.
And I'm Jason, and we're back with another episode for your life.
Yes, and we haven't been very consistent with our episodes, like schedule-wise, so we apologize for that. But we'll try our best to keep it on schedule. Today, we're going to talk about comedians and comedy.
After last episode, this is going to be kind of a tough one because last episode about hash browns was so good.
Yeah, we kind of I think we were in danger of peaking with that one, so we're gonna try to set the bar a little lower.
I've been having Hot Pile non-stop.
Hot Pile
since then.
I have had it 2 or 3 times since then at Local Cafe. I've had. Okay, sorry.
Wow, you go there a lot.
I think just twice. We had a long window since we recorded it. It was like a month.
So if you were Jerry Seinfeld and you lived in Denton, you would probably go there. That would be the place where you meet up with your comedian friends.
Yeah, but you have to go to a different place every time. That's how the show.
That's how the
show works. Yeah, he's never at the same place twice.
Well, speaking of Jerry Seinfeld, I guess that's what we're going to talk about today. Not just Jerry Seinfeld, but comedy in general, and specifically the comedians out there.
And it came up because we were just talking about some comedians that we like, or some styles that we like, and Jason and I definitely don't agree on everything at all, but
most things.
We're like, that'd be interesting to talk about. So, Jason, why don't you start us off? What do you like? Who do you like? Yeah.
Yeah, so I like comedy that's funny. That's kind of my starting place, really. But then again, I also think comedy in general is subjective. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
There are different types, where if you're sitting through a comedy show and you're sitting next to somebody who has the exact opposite sense of humor that you have, you're probably going to be laughing at different times, you know? So I think it also depends. Some people are they specialize more in areas that are a little more intellectual type humor, and then you get others that are a little more physical in their humor, and then you get some that are just, I don't know, maybe the stupidity. Then you just get some people who are just great stories. Some of my favorite comedians are Brian Regan. Mm-hmm. Huge fan of him. His Brian Regan Live album, I think, is one of the best comedy albums I've ever heard. Then again, I haven't heard a whole lot, so I'm sure there's some better ones out there, but that one is definitely one of my favorites. And I can still quote most of them. That's how many times I listened to them growing up. And he's pretty great. I love his stories and his different voices and characters that he kind of does. I'm a big fan of Tim Hawkins, mainly because of his parodies. I think his parodies are brilliant. And I also like Michael Jr. Michael Jr. is pretty great.
I haven't heard of him.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. He is really great because he's very good on his feet. So he does a lot of stuff where he interacts with the audience, and he'll just do something off the cuff with it. And I think that is a good skill. Obviously, improv and stuff is part of comedy, but I think being able to think quickly on your feet and come up with jokes quickly on your feet is a sign of a good comedian.
Yeah.
So you should check him out. He's pretty great.
I will. I totally agree. It's weird how subjective it can be because, I would say there's probably more comedy, not just comedians, but also just shows or whatever, more that I don't like than I like. And at the same time, it's weird too because you don't really control what kind of sense of humor you end up with. I'm sure, I don't want to say you're born with it to some degree, but I think mostly it's your environment growing up and whatnot, what, your family, what the kind of family you grew up in and what kind of jokes y'all told or what sorts of, media or movies or whatever you were exposed to when you were a kid. That's what's really interesting. It's you can't really fault somebody for not liking something, not thinking something's funny, because they can't really control exactly how their sense of humor ended up. Isn't that odd?
Yeah, it's pretty odd. It is different. Yeah, people are different.
Yeah, this is a serious statement. It's a big assumption, but people are different.
That is a huge assumption. I don't know if I would die on that hill.
But so I really like kind of weird comedy to some degree.
Oh, really? No way.
Jason and I earlier were talking about Demetri Martin, who I really like a lot. First started liking him like in middle school or something, and so he was like one of the first comedians that I was like, dude, this guy's super weird and very odd, and like he really drew me in. I like Jerry Seinfeld a lot. He's really great. I love Seinfeld, the show, and also Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. He's just entertaining to watch. And what's funny too is that I mean, obviously he does stand up, but like in just his conversations, he has bits going like all the time, like little ones all the time. He's always kind of doing a bit.
It's like he's using these comedians for practice. You know, he's like,
Sort of.
if I can make Jim Gaffigan laugh, then I must be able to.
Well, you're right, but he laughs a lot too. Also,
Jim Gaffigan's also one of my favorites.
oh, he's really good.
He's great.
But it's also weird because it's not just that he uses those scenarios to kind of like to say jokes in conversation. His stand up is really like conversations. It's like he's just talking to the audience. Like,
Right.
He gripes about stuff.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people do that. But he has a very conversational style, and he's just a funny thinker, which I think helps a lot because he doesn't always have. Some of his jokes have a serious like kind of punchline ending thing to it. But I think most of them are just a funny idea that he discusses for a while. Anyway, that's a few that I like a lot. One final one I'll say is Mike Birbiglia is really great. He just
The Berg, the Burb.
he'll tell just stories on stage and stuff, and they just end up being funny stories. Most times it's not like, again, it's not really like this really organized, tightened up joke as much as it is a funny story that he tells in a really funny way. Anyway, but when it just comes to a sense of humor and comedy and stuff, sometimes the weirder it gets, not like in a gross way, but like just out there, the more I like it usually. So, which is definitely not for everybody.
Yeah, I think that again it reflects your like sense of humor as a whole, just like mine would reflect, you know, my sense of humor as a whole. So, but that's okay. You know, that's why they have people like Dimitri Martin and other weirdos. Just kidding. I don't think he's probably that weird in real life. He just seems pretty normal, you know. But then you have other folks, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
What would you say is like something that really, like, not turns you off, but just things that you like shticks that comedians do that aren't funny?
I don't like a ton of like. There's a few pieces of like stand-up specials or whatever I've caught from some comedians where it's like so incredibly vulgar that I don't even really get what the joke is. And I'm not a censored kind of person or whatever, but like it seems kind of like, remember, I don't know if you like had any experiences kind of like the equivalent to like locker room situations in high school or middle school or whatever.
I was homeschooled.
I know, but equivalent. I said anything equivalent to that.
I usually lock the door behind me.
You're like, basically, have I ever had a situation where I'm with a lot of other dudes, like, partly dressed in a room? No. So, just the idea that, like, at that point in your life, one of the funniest things to that age group is just cursing and talking about, like, just body humor and farting and just stuff like that. Like, when you discover that you can kind of say whatever you want in the confines of a locker room or whatever. That's, like, as funny as middle schoolers really get. Or high schoolers. That's a really broad spectrum because there's a lot of room there to be really not funny. Anyway,
right.
And some comedians are just like that, where I'm like, yeah,
they never grew up.
Right. This is really funny to the middle schoolers who get to watch Netflix without their parents in the room, and just laugh at all the curse words. And I'm like, man, there's just not a lot of substance, and it just gets like cringy at a certain point.
Yeah.
Like I'm almost embarrassed for them because I'm like, man, there's nothing here, but.
What would your mom think if you saw this?
No, I mean that too, but
yeah, I'm the same way. I don't really like a lot of vulgar cursing. It's like, I don't know, within the context of a movie. I'm not a huge fan of cursing in general, for the record, but when it comes to stand-up, it's like, I don't feel like that's really that necessary, you know? Did you have to say that, you know? I think it would have been maybe funnier without it, but that's just how I roll.
That's what's interesting about...
I'd say cursing. So that's why, like, some of the guys like Louis C.K., I just feel like some of the things he say are like, whoa, they're like so offensive that it's funny to some people, but I don't know. Yeah. I don't feel like the offensive humor really.
Yeah, that's what's kind of cool about Jerry Seinfeld. He doesn't really curse almost at all. But I like Louis C.K., but I wouldn't say I like all of his stuff. But in general, like, he's just very creative. He's proved himself to be... Like, I really enjoy his TV show, which is more than just, you know, him cursing or something. It's a lot. It's really interesting. But yeah, I also just don't like comedians who come across as like they really like themselves, or they think they're funny. You know what I mean? And like that's just people in general, honestly. If someone really likes themselves a lot, I'm not gonna like them whether they're a performer or just a person that I meet on the street or something. So
Yeah,
sometimes it's just so obvious. Like the people who really just love having all the attention, and really it's really evident to them that they are just kind of in this ecstasy of like being given all the attention and being everybody laughing at them and stuff. And they just are really prideful about it. It just sometimes comes across as like, I don't know. I just don't like it. I end up not wanting to even like look at or associate with people like that. So
Just don't even look at them.
no, I don't want to look at them.
I just can't even look at these guys.
Yeah, I don't want to do them the honor of like looking at them. Right? It's like
Wow.
a silent protest. Just like
It's like,
cover your eyes.
your eyes are so quiet right now.
They look around in the audience and they like see one guy that's not looking at them. It's like, "Gah, that guy, I haven't made him laugh yet."
It's like he's avoiding me.
Is there
Wow.
anything else? Is there anything else you don't like?
I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. I think it's interesting because like a lot of the comedy I listen to and have listened to growing up has been like clean comedy or
Yeah.
like Christian comedians. I know, like, yeah, that's a different subculture of humor, I guess, altogether. What's really sad is watching some of those videos. A lot of those guys are just like not that funny. They are. I feel like they're nice people. I feel like
Yeah.
they were like the funniest people in their church, and somebody one day was like, "Hey, you should just like get up and stand up," and like I guess they've done pretty well. I'd like to know like what their success rate is, you know, because like in the Christian comedian sphere, like Tim Hawkins is one of the most well-known guys. There's a couple of other folks that have tried to that are sort of up there too, and I feel like it's kind of hard because like comedians in general, you know, doing a stand-up comedy is kind of like being in a band. Like it's hard life, you know, because you have to like, you know, do shows
Yeah.
and you're probably on the road a lot. So Christian comedy too is just like tough because it's like, I don't know. I feel like all the jokes have been said about the, you know, the church,
Yeah, yeah.
and about church life and stuff. So, and it's also hard because like there might be some folks who like really like certain comedians' humor, and I didn't think it was that funny. So it's like, yeah.
It's weird. I mean, to think about how someone kind of gets into comedy. Like one of my best friends growing up is pursuing comedy right now. He has been for a little while, and he like it's kind of stupid because you could. Like, it should have been obvious to all of us that was what he was going to end up doing, because he was kind of always testing out material on people. He was always really funny, and it was weird because we didn't really think about that being kind of what he was working toward, and not even he realized that, I don't think, at the time. But incredibly funny guy, and I don't know if all comedians are kind of like that, where it's like obvious that they are a comedian even before they ever do that. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're always the funniest person
Yeah, I don't think so.
in the
'Cause,
room
like,
or something, or they just decide, I don't know.
So I don't know, because like our pastor is a pretty funny guy, and he's funny across social media as well as in person, but he's easy to make laugh.
Yeah.
I'll just say that, and I don't say that from just my own experience, but from observing him in context with other people. So yeah, I think you don't have to be like the funniest guy in the room in order to be a great comedian, unless you're like on stage, you know.
Yeah, the first guy in the room in an auditorium. Well, that might not be all of our thoughts on comedy, but that's definitely some of them. So, anyway, good topic. Support comedy. Support laughter.
Yeah, the moral of this story is get out there and laugh.
Yeah.
Live, laugh, love.
Eat, pray, laugh. Okay.
That's a lot of. That's a little bit too much of a to-do list. All right, just we'll stick with laugh for today.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all we got. Don't forget, you can send us topics to discuss at email us at podcastforyourlife@gmail.com. That'd be great.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're gonna run out of topics eventually, and you'll just get 10 minutes of us breathing. Also, we're on Facebook, so if you want to follow us and definitely share our page with your friends if they just need a break from their intellectual podcasts.
Yeah,
for a while.
If they want like the layman's perspective on a lot of different topics, here we go. You know.
Yeah. All right, guys. See ya.
Bye.